there, I am Ssezibwa. This is New Vision TV News. But to start with is the news around Uganda. We start from Kayunga district, where the State Minister for Information and Communication Technology, Ida Nantaba, survives becoming the 17th statistic of high-profile victims gunned down by bikes riding assassins in recent years. Now, the unlucky ones include top prosecutor Joan Kagezi, police spokesman and director Andrew Felix Kawesi, crime buster Mohammed Chidumira, and military officer Major Mohammed Chigundu, in addition with a dozen of Muslim clerics. New Vision TV brings you a broader perspective in an analysis with veteran journalist Joachim Boembo. So I am with Joachim Boembo, a veteran journalist who's going to give us the perspective on what happened Sunday afternoon when IT Minister Ida Nantaba escaped assassins. Now, Joachim, thank you. It is always a pleasure to have you on New Vision TV.
How are you?
So how do you think Ida Nantaba, a lady civilian, escaped what security officers Kawesi and Chigundu did not escape?
Well, first of all, there is an element of bad luck and good luck.
Okay.
Ida is lucky. But from a security perspective, there is also alertness. I think when a security system is subjected to such shocks, the officers tend to get more and more alert. It also happens to civilians. So I think the bodyguard of Minister Nantaba, first of all, is an SFC officer.
Yeah.
And SFC people, we expect them to always be on the alert. Their job is more sensitive than other officers. But I would say also that the motivation of individual security officers matters. That's why from the same force you can have an officer in charge of an Amuria at a big police station hiring out the guns to criminals. And another one, I think there's also motivation. How motivated are the security officers to? How alert are they? When you get the police account of what was happening inside the car, that officer was quite alert. He noticed the assailants.
Should we say because it was afternoon, there was an alert? Because for Kawesi and Chigundu, the instances happened in the morning.
Oof, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But as I say, a professional, when you're on duty, whatever time of day it is, you should be alert all the time.
Clearly. Until
you are relieved by the next person to take over duty from you.
Clearly, the other bodyguards were not alert. Or there was a breach in security.
There is also bad luck.
So is this attempt on Ida another, is it a continuation of the assassinations on prominent personalities in the country?
Yes and no. No, because there is no proof that they are connected. But yes, because the previous killings remain unresolved. And so whichever forces are behind the killing of all these prominent people from Kawesi's, I mean, Kawesi was the face of the police force, and by bad coincidence, it is just marking 2 years since he was killed, and then Nantaba almost gets killed. And Chigundu, very highly placed. And so
Kagezi.
You have this lady who was a top prosecutor,
Joan Kagezi. Yeah.
So then you have the sheikhs, the Muslim clerics, who are being killed after being put on a list.
Oh yeah.
And still you go ahead and kill them. You have Mohammed Chidumira, who kept crying out to all authorities that they are going to kill me, and still they killed him.
There's clearly never been any, final investigations. So this could be a continuation, because since we do not know who, maybe the people out there still enjoying, what they're doing, and maybe Nantaba could have been another, another pawn.
It does not take, you cannot be a small-time criminal and you aim to kill a minister of the Republic of Uganda, or even if it was a smaller republic. You have to be, have very high motives I don't think they were trying to steal money or a car from her. It was definitely an assassination attempt.
Oh, yeah.
And such an assassination is not planned by
Small people.
a local criminal who wants to steal a million shillings. So I would say, in that sense, I think it is still, we are not yet very safe. The assassins are out there.
Oh, yeah.
Their motive, I don't want to speculate.
Could government be knowing who and what is behind these assassinations, and why are they even taking long to tell us what is behind them?
Government certainly has a good idea.
Okay.
I can't say government doesn't know. 3 years since these things have been happening.
Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be, such a government wouldn't be able to survive in power if it doesn't have the capacity to detect such things. Government certainly knows, but my feeling is that besides criminal investigation, there must also be political angles to this, which government is sorting out without telling you and I, without telling the public what's going on.
I think the next thing would know, or would be knowing as public, is maybe a lead or a link to who is behind this, instead of getting to know who is next or who is actually in the list.
As I say, these assassinations are definitely politically motivated.
Okay.
I mean, with the exception of the unlucky young lady Susan Magara,
Oh, yeah.
and all the other people, whether Ibrahim Abiriga, there are political angles to these assassinations. Even the little known people who were killed, like the girls of Nansan and Entebbe, these things are not delinked. Government certainly knows, but must be doing its best to get to the bottom of it. It's not just purely criminal matters.
Yeah, and these assassins, I should say, are qualified people, because if I told you, you look at the equipment they use, the jackets they wear, the bikes they ride. Could there be an armed force that is maybe waging war against Uganda?
Well, that is highly possible, but what's the nature of an armed force? First of all, let's say bulletproof jackets or body armor can be bought. You journalists, if you are going to conflict zones, you would procure the same. So these are professional killers. They have professional equipment, professional methods, and they are an armed force. What I don't know is whether they are a governmental force.
Or outside Uganda.
You know that security is no longer a preserve of governments and insecurity. You have private security outfits, possibly with military knowledge, possibly run by people with military background. But again, it would be foolhardy to rule out political motives.
Okay. Oh, maybe you can enlighten me here. Does Uganda have, enemies that can lead to this? Maybe outside, enemies, something like that.
Yeah, Uganda has always been...
Could we link this to those enemies?
Uganda, first of all, as a government, the government can be fought, but Uganda remains. Uganda also as a country definitely has been fighting wars all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Somalia. I think it's only Tanzania and Kenya that we've not had war-like situations with since this government came to. Actually, even Kenya, we've had a war-like situation since NRM came to power. During the days of Arap Moi, we've been fighting insurgents backed by Sudan. We've had lots of stuff with Congo. We even have an unresolved case of $10 billion. We backed the people who fought a government in Rwanda, and those people are still not very happy.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't say about the present Rwanda government, but the previous Rwanda government, we fought them.
Oh, yes.
It's only Tanzania, among our neighbors, whom we've not fought, but Tanzania we fought also 40 years ago. It's going to be the anniversary next month, and they overran us, occupied us.
Okay.
So there is always a warlike situation between Uganda and somebody.
So clearly I should say that our investigative system has not tried to crack this, and this has left Ugandans still in suspense.
No, they have tried, but as I said, they
just don't want to tell us.
Idea, but how do you resolve a political insecurity? If it's a common robber or murderer, you investigate, prosecute, and that's it.
How much time would you give an investigations of such nature?
If there are no political undertones, maybe a year at most. Look, we have got, we've just done 2 years since Kawesi was killed.
Yes,
and people are arrested immediately.
Oh, yeah.
For 2 years later, we don't have evidence being brought to court to nail guys. But I don't think that evidence is not there. But there, as Right Honorable Moses Sali was telling Parliament the other day, we win that they, government, know, but don't expect them to tell you. So
why are they leaving us in suspense? We are Ugandans.
They don't want to alarm you. So they are trying to sort out these things, I would say.
Okay.
So we all pray that they get to the bottom of these things.
And lay it out to the public.
Something like that.
It is always a pleasure talking to you, Buembo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Yes. That has been Joachim Buembo, a veteran journalist. And some of you have, interacted with him. So that is it for Ida Nantaba and surviving gunmen on Sunday. Let us continue with the news around Uganda. Let us look at more stories making the headlines across the country. Now, he had returned from Somalia, where he had been sending money to his father, but he could not trace it. The UPDF soldier went to his uncle to get 20,000 shillings, but ended up in police hands. According to Swam Region Police spokesman Rogers Taitika, Ashraf Chalengat, attached to 407 Brigade in Akapeperiti, stormed the Kapchemwe supermarket in Kapchora town and asked for 20,000 shillings. He could not get the money. He came the second time and was unsuccessful, and on the third time he came with a gun and threatened to shoot people in the supermarket. Chalengat fired, aiming at the shop owner, which attracted the residents and the police. After a brief exchange of fire with the police, he was overpowered and arrested as he tried to escape. Crossing over to Iganga, the process of taking over Busoga University has reached final stages after auditors completed evaluation of the assets. According to the Iganga LC5 chairman, Patrick Kayemba, plans to take over the university had stalled following disagreements between Central Busoga Diocese and Busoga University Limited over who was entitled to take majority shares in the compensation. Kayemba, who is a member of the committee overseeing the takeover, says the university will officially start admitting students this academic year. The Bishop Central Busoga Diocese, Patrick Wakula, said the university had already handed over 100 acres of land infrastructure and other assets to government to ensure a smooth takeover. News from Rukunjiri, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Dr. Hakana Rugunda, has praised Kampala business tycoon Ben Kavuya for donating a healthy center to the public at Ronkoma in Kebsoni Town Council, Rukunjiri District, which he commissioned on Saturday. Now, Ben Kavuya says he donated 200 million shillings for the healthy facility in memory of his late parents, Jeremiah and Joyce Kavuya, who died about 30 years ago. He says his father died on arrival at Nyakivale Hospital about 25 kilometers away, saying if there was a nearby medical facility, he would have lived longer. He says this prompted him to build such a facility to the land he inherited from his father. News from Amuria. Reverend Beswerio Kello conducted a wedding of Kevin Ichuru and Julius Ediku at Elim Mission Church on Saturday in Akeruayu sub-county. Now, Ediku and Ichuru had prepared for their big day. The church, the Christians were all wool-letting as the couple tied the knot and walked down the aisle. The food, the cake, and all sorts of refreshments were ready. Everything had been set. All this came in an abrupt halt as the police came in. Led by the officer in charge of Urungo Police Station, Innocent Owinye, 3 officers stormed the church as Reverend Okello gave the sermon after blessing the couple. The police went straight to Michael Aluboy, the father of Ediku. A female tried to block the arrest, but she was overpowered by the officers as they took the parents of the girl to police to record statements. Now, although the police says that Ichuru was 15 years, the church leaders said the documents they obtained indicated that she was only 19 years. Now, police says the investigations are still going on. We end the news around Uganda from Arua district, where security operatives were taken by surprise when Chadiono East Member of Parliament Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, commonly known as Bobi Wine, stormed Arua for Kasiyano Wadiri's victory party, with a mammoth crowd that gathered for Wadiri's victory party at Arua Hill Boma grounds on Sunday. The police, army, and the supporters were shocked to see Bobi Wine MP Francis Zake appear in a white car entering the venue. MP Wadiri Kasiyano, on his part, rallied the people of Arua to join in the fight against corruption. He said, unfortunately, our own people are involved in corruption, crippling service delivery that deters development in Arua municipality. And that was the news around Uganda. Let us take a look at what is making the headlines across the East African region and across the globe.
Hello, my name is Lynn Komjisha. You're watching News Around East Africa. We start off with Uganda. Details released by the Uganda police indicate that the assassin, who on Sunday was going after ICT Minister Ida Nantawa, was wearing a bulletproof vest. But even then, it did not save him from the bullets of the patrol police who chased after him. His accomplice, with whom they were riding on a motorcycle, managed to escape with their gun. News coming in from Tanzania. The manager, TANESCO, an electricity supply company in Kankonko district, Tanzania, has been ordered to resign if houses in all the 29 villages of Kankonko district have no power by June 30th. Energy Minister Mered Kalimani has also ordered that 10% of the project coordinator's salary be deducted if the target coverage is not achieved by the given period. Only time will tell if this will be achieved or not. News from Rwanda. Talk of Rwanda's history. The 1994 Rwanda genocide cannot be ignored. News coming in show that remains of over 40,000 victims are to be reburied at the Rukumberi Genocide Memorial on May the 26th in Ngoma district. The development follows completion of the new decent burial site, given that the old burial site that currently houses the remains is dilapidated. Rukumberi is one of the areas that experienced the most gruesome atrocities during the 1994 genocide. We go off to Kenya. We wonder, are the Kenyan teachers the best in the world? Well, Mr. Peter Tabichi has bagged the 2019 Global Teacher Prize of $1 million. Tabichi is a graduate from Egerton University. The 36-year-old teacher at Keriko Mixed Day Secondary School has spent 12 years in the profession. He says he's grateful to God for beating the over 10,000 nominees from 179 countries around the world. Away from East Africa, we take a look at what's making headlines around the globe. We start off with Mozambique. A number of people in makeshift camps after a powerful cyclone in Mozambique has risen by 18,000 to 128,000. But the death toll remains roughly unchanged at 447, according to Land and Environment Minister Celso Correa. News from Ethiopia. Ethiopian Airline said Monday it would keep close ties with U.S. plane maker Boeing, even though questions remain about its 737 MAX 8 model after a crash shortly after takeoff this month killed 157 people. In Britain, British Prime Minister Theresa May is under pressure to give a date for leaving office as the price to bring Brexit supporting rebel lawmakers in her party behind her twice defeated European Union divorce today. Now off to Moscow. The Kremlin said today that it was ready to improve ties with the United States, but that it was up to Washington to make the first move after the conclusion of a U.S. investigation into collusion between Donald Trump and Russia in the 2016 general elections. And that was the latest around East Africa and around the globe. We stay with Ruth Nassage, who has more of this.
Thank you so much, Lynn Komgisha. Now, in our daily Pearl of Africa series, we look at the legend River Ssezibwa. This relatively small river is found in the southern central part of Uganda, particularly Buyukwe district. In a drive of about 40 minutes from Kampala, one can get to this river. Its waterfall, known as Ssezibwa Falls, is surrounded with various activities one can engage in, and some of them include camping, bird watching, rock climbing, and also swimming. Let's take a look. Just like some of the rivers in Uganda, River Ssezibwa also starts from the wetlands of Lake Victoria. Its source is located in Buyukwe district near the town of Ngogwe. The falls on this river push through the rocks, providing a perfect view while at the side. There are legends surrounding this river. Ssezibwa is believed to have been born by a woman named Nankungu Tebatusa, whose husband was in Subugasewatu while on her way to Kavuma Bukunja. Nankungu Tebatusa is believed to have given birth to twins in form of water, which became River Ssezibwa and Bwanda. The name Ssezibwa is derived from a Luganda phrase, Ssezibwa Kubo, which translates into "my path can never be blocked," and this, the local says, because its flow could not be stopped even with different obstacles it encountered along its 150 kilometers long distance. On one side of these falls and the river is a small rainforest that is habitat to animals such as monkeys and birds, while on the other side is a beautiful mold ground with fig trees, and on the fringes are thickets of bamboo trees, shrubs and bushes. The activities that take place at this river include culture walks, which are provided by guides, bird watching, rock climbing, and extremely exciting camping experiences. Now, for more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website, which is www.newvision.co.ug. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures. Grab your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories. What a beauty! River Ssezibwa is where most of us should be heading now. Now let us speak business with a handshake, and Lynn Komgisha will be taking us through this.
Hello there, thanks for joining us here on The Handshake. This is New Vision TV. My name is Lynn Komjisha, and today I have a very wonderful lady with me in studio. She's called Mrs. Rosette Bamwine. She is the head credit and marketing of the Agricultural Credit Facility. Now this is at Bank of Uganda. Mrs. Rosette Bamwine, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Now we'll go right into it. What is this agricultural credit facility?
Thank you. This agricultural credit facility is actually the scheme that supports farmers, agro-processors, and traders that want to deal in grain.
Okay.
And it was initiated by the government of Uganda,
Right.
in partnership with the financial institutions operating in Uganda. These include all those regulated by Bank of Uganda, the financial institutions regulated by Bank of Uganda, and the Uganda Development Bank.
Okay.
And these institutions include, one, commercial banks, micro deposit taking institutions, and credit institutions, but regulated by Bank of Uganda plus the Uganda Development Bank. So all the commercial banks that are operating in Uganda are eligible and are partners to participate.
When you say they are partners, does it mean that if somebody wants to access this credit, do they go through any of those
Any
partners?
of those? Actually, maybe I should first tell you the key objective, why it was established.
Absolutely.
So the key objective of Agricultural Credit Facility is to facilitate the provision of medium to long-term loans
Okay.
to farmers and agro-processors and grain traders at more favorable terms than are usually available on the market. And indeed, another objective, we are focusing on commercialization, modernization, and mechanization. Interested in farmers moving away from subsistence farming
Okay.
to commercial farming, and also for the traders of grain, also to provide market for the grain farmers, for the farmers that plant, for example, maize, beans, simsim, soybean, name it. So whoever is interested in trading and purchasing this, the whole grain value chain also do finance it. And the applications are channeled through the financial institutions. Each one's financial institution of your choice. You channel the application through there, and finally it will reach to the Bank of Uganda.
Oh yeah, that's what I was
And
going to ask.
when you asked about the partnership, the partnership is that whatever loan we give out,
Right.
it is shared in between. For example, if you want like 100 million through a commercial bank, the government of Uganda will contribute 50% of that loan, that is 50 million.
Okay.
And the financial institution in which your application would have gone through will also contribute 50 million. But if the application goes through an MDI
What
and
is
a
an
credit
MDI?
institution, micro deposit taking institutions,
Okay.
and credit institutions, then the government provides 70% of that loan. And the financial institution will provide only 30%.
Okay.
That's why we are saying it's actually partnership and risk sharing. We share the risk, given that lending to agriculture has various inherent risks associated with it. And that's why the government said, why not join these banks so as to encourage lending to this very important sector.
Okay. Now, who are those intended to benefit from this?
Every Ugandan,
Oh,
even outside Uganda, if you are investing in Uganda.
okay.
So anyone dealing in agriculture,
Any sort,
we
any
have,
kind.
yeah, we actually have various value chains. For example, we can have the crop industry or the crop value chain, the animal value chain. If you are in animal husband, what I mean is like if you are in cows, for example, anything along the cattle value chain, right from getting a farm, fencing it, putting in water dams, developing it, buying the cattle, anything, name it, we finance it. Maybe what we don't finance is purchase of land, planting of trees, trading in other commodities apart from the grain, and refinancing an existing facility. The rest are all eligible. And then if it's like a crop value chain, if you are in maybe banana plantation, sim growing, soya bean, anything, whether cotton or coffee, we finance all the activities along that chain. If it is into fishing and you want maybe to buy the fish fingerlings, then also you want a fish pond, then anything to do with maybe goats, poultry farming, name it, we do finance it, all those activities.
Wow.
And I will later tell you how much we give and all that.
Yeah, because so how do I access it?
One, your application has to go through a financial institution of your choice, and you need certain things, of course, to qualify.
Yeah, what are those things?
You have to be bankable.
What does that mean?
You have to be having an account in that bank.
Okay.
So that you've been banking well and maybe servicing their loans well. And then you channel your application through that. We do not interfere with their credit policies. So you'll be required to have maybe a project proposal or a business plan, depending on the amounts you'll be borrowing. Yes, please.
Wow.
And then once they approve, then they send to Bank of Uganda for approval and contribution either of 50% or 70%. Thank you.
That's very interesting. So are there any projects that are not eligible? Because you say agriculture, are there those projects that might not qualify?
Yes, really. It depends upon how you package it. And maybe I would wish first to answer if there was, like, what are these favorable terms? What are the favorable terms?
Yes.
You know, most people learn to agriculture, or most financial institutions, same terms like these other projects. Yet some of the agricultural projects are actually long-term in nature. And you find some banks lending on short-term basis for a long-term project. And that is not feasible. So our terms are like, one, we give medium to long-term, up to a maximum of 8 years, with a grace period of up to 3 years, which other institutions sometimes don't give.
Yes.
Up to 3 years, up to 3 years grace period, depending on the project you are doing. Also, the loan amount, also, we don't have a minimum, we don't have a maximum.
Oh, that's very
It shows it depends upon the amount you want and the project and how you've packaged this project. So you can borrow any amount you want, provided your financial institution is willing and ready to contribute that half, either 50% or 30%. Yes, please. And then you find up to 20 million Uganda shillings, you can access it actually without collateral. So that shows we are interested in the micro borrowers, the small scale borrowers, the medium scale, and the large scale borrowers. We actually cater for all those borrowers along the agricultural value chain, provided they are into farming or agro processing. So we cater for post-harvest handling. If you want silos, stores, cold storage facilities, including trucks actually. If you are maybe transporting to the airport and you need a truck. And then we're also flexible when it comes to repayments. For example, the grain that I talked about.
Yes.
For the grain, the terms are actually different. We give up to 2 years. And no grace period, because we assume whoever comes to borrow for the grain has the grain to purchase, and then suitable post-harvest handling facilities so that the grain doesn't get spoiled. You must have a contract, a market, or you can have adequate stores to store and then sell when the prices are better. So along the agricultural value chain, we sponsor almost everything. But now going back to your question, what we do not sponsor is if you want to purchase land, that one you can borrow commercially from the banks because they will be willing. If you want to plant trees, we do not sponsor planting of trees due to the fact that their gestation period
is
over 8 years.
Yes.
Yet our loan period maximum is 8 years.
Yes, yes.
And then we don't encourage refinancing an existing facility. For example, if you get a loan, it goes bad, you don't pay well, and then you borrow under ACF to pay that loan, then it won't be eligible, won't give you the funds. And then also, we also don't encourage other traders. Like if you are trading in clothing, anything outside agriculture and agro-processing, we don't give such loans.
Okay.
But the rest are actually eligible.
Yes. Well, Mrs. Rosette, allow me, we'll take a quick break. When we return, she'll, give us more, what is required of, for me going into my commercial bank or whatever to get this loan, and how do I go forward?
Now, business matters never end, and in today's special report, we look at a 5-part series of Uganda's porous borders, starting with Rwanda.
With an area of 241,000 square kilometers, of which 1/5 is open water, Uganda is a relatively small country, but it has international borders with 5 other countries. While this is a potential advantage in terms of trade, it also poses immigration and security complications because of the porous nature of the borders that were drawn arbitrarily by colonialists, thus splitting many communities. New Vision TV examines these complications and their implications, starting with the southwestern neighbor, Rwanda. The beautiful mountainous Kigezi sub-region was made part of Uganda in 1911. The people who had been citizens of Rwanda, Burundi, thus became Ugandans and maintained their language of Kinyarwanda. But even then, many Banyarwanda had migrated to Uganda before they had fled the Great Famine at the end of the 19th century. During the first census in independent Uganda that was conducted in 1969, the Kinyarwanda-speaking Ugandans in the area feared to give their tribe as Banyarwanda and said they were Bafumbira. Parliament soon after decided to recognize Bafumbira as a Ugandan tribe. The 1995 Constitution, which recognizes all communities found in Uganda by 1926, thus lists both Bafumbira as the 6th indigenous community of Uganda, but also lists Banyarwanda as Uganda's 20th indigenous community. At the confluence of the 3 countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and Congo, Kigezi is also one of the most densely populated regions of Uganda. With millions of people of Rwandese ancestry being indigenous Ugandans, distinguishing a Ugandan from a Rwandan other than relying on documents is virtually a futile exercise. Being in the same country, Uganda and Banyarwanda have moved to all corners of Uganda where they have intermarried and born children now for 5 generations. The genocide of 1959 in Rwanda led to an influx of many more Rwandans into Uganda, and Rwanda's current president, General Paul Kagame, was a toddler among them. Any of these refugees and their offspring could have become and remained Ugandan. Many did. In 1981, 1982 and 1983, after the Yoweri Museveni's National Resistance Movement launched a guerrilla war against the government in the Luweero Triangle, the government reacted by victimizing Banyarwanda Ugandans and refugees, accusing them of supporting the rebellion. This had the effect of driving more of them to join the rebel ranks. By the time the NRA captured power in 1986, a big number of its officers were Banyarwanda. In 1990, these soldiers created the Rwanda Patriotic Front and led a violent, forceful return to their country after then-President Juvenal Habyarimana claimed there was no space in Rwanda to accommodate them. Their leader, General Fred Rwigema, was killed in the first days of the invasion. Then Major Paul Kagame, who had gone to the United States for further military studies as a Ugandan officer, was recalled. Kagame discontinued his course and returned to replace Rwigema and took over command. Fred Rwigema's death shocked both Banyarwanda outside Rwanda and most Ugandans. He had been extremely popular in Kampala, where he was a leading supporter and sponsor of Sports Club Villa. Some RPF fighters gave up the struggle and returned to Uganda. Paul Kagame reorganized RPF and made it a formidable force which forced Habyarimana's government to the negotiating table. The Rwanda peace talks were taking place in Arusha, northern Tanzania. On the evening of April 6, 1994, Rwanda's presidential jet, a Dassault Falcon 50 carrying President Juvenal Habyarimana and his Burundi counterpart, Cyprien Ntaryamira, was shot down with a surface-to-air missile as it prepared to land at Kigali International Airport. The two were returning from Arusha, where a peaceful settlement with the RPF was in sight. Now the shooting of the plane and the death of Habyarimana triggered a mass slaughter. The war intensified and the RPF finally took over Kigali and established its government. A Hutu president, Pastor Bizimungu, and Prime Minister Faustin Twagiramungu were appointed, and the chairman of RPF was Colonel Alex Kanyarengwe. But the real power behind the throne was Vice President Paul Kagame. The victory of the RPF resulted into the exodus of over 1 million Hutus, some of them guilty of genocide, others just scared. They mostly fled to nearby Congo. But with time, Bizimungu and Twagiramungu fell out with Kagame, and Kanyarengwe died of natural causes in 2006. Countries like Uganda that were sympathetic to RPF started accepting Hutu refugees. Refugees continue flowing from Rwanda to neighboring countries. In the run-up to Uganda's 2016 general elections, there was a mass registration for the issuance of the Uganda National Identity Card. It is believed that many Rwandans were among the first to register and get the Ugandan ID. But right from the 1990 RPF invasion of Rwanda, many Rwandans never severed links with Uganda. In fact, many further deepened their Ugandan investments. Many continued sending their children to schools. The trend was picked up by even those who had not come from Uganda. Besides, many Ugandans continue marrying girls of Rwandan ancestry, many of who were born and raised and are citizens of Uganda. During the marriage arrangements, it is a must to carry out the introduction ceremonies in Rwanda. The more the Baganda and other Ugandans emphasize their culture in marriage, the more families of Rwandese brides also insist on observing Kinyarwanda culture. And more new relatives from Rwanda get welcomed to Uganda. The integration of Ugandan and Rwandan has been going on for over a century, and it may be too late to separate them now. As the two governments fight their on and off conflicts, they need to recognize that their disputes are not in the interests of the people.
That's all I had for you. Thank you for sticking with us. You can get more news updates and other programs here on New Vision TV by visiting our website, which is www.newvision.co.ug/video. You can also follow us on social media. Facebook is The New Vision, Twitter is @NewVisionWire, Instagram is @NewVisionWire, and our YouTube channel is New Vision TV. Catch up with me on my Twitter handle. I am Royathe, The Voice. Thank you for watching.